What's going on, guys? Welcome to Pure Evil MMA Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie. I have a great podcast for everybody set up today with some awesome guests. On today's show, we have UFC's Elias Theodorou. But to start today's show off, and it's going to be starting off pretty hot here, one of my favorite people in G.L.O.W is joining us here today. Knock, knock.
Oh, that's so funny. Yes. Now it's going to be on you, so I get to say who's there. Oh, wait, that's me. Oh,
Tank.
Sunny.
It's Tank.
California girl. Yeah.
It's Tank.
How are you?
So, thank you so much for joining me. I've been so interested in trying to get all of you girls onto my show here. I've already had, I just had ROXY Astors on not too long ago, and there's been a lot of changes in the past couple of months with the G.L.O.W girls, and especially with the Netflix season going on right now. And, you know, in case anybody out there that's tuning in right now isn't familiar, you know, let me just start right here. The way that I found out about you guys is actually from Netflix, and not the series. It was actually the documentary that they did on you guys. And, you know, I'm 29-year-old Italian man. I'm a pretty tough dude. I call myself Evil Eddie. I got tattoos on my hands and everything. And I cried both times I've watched this documentary. It touched me so much, I had to reach out to the girls. You are now the second G.L.O.W girl on Pure Evil MMA. I'm so thankful and blessed to have you on the show. First off, you know, where did this name Sunny come from? Is it because of your last name?
You know what? The director of The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling actually analyzed our character, watched us train, watched us day to day, how we ate, how we thought, how we looked, whatever, and that's how he gave me Sunny the California girl. I actually showed up at the auditions. I was blonde, tan. I was a surfer chick, if you will, but I was pretty much a tough girl. Like, I used to fight when I was in school and all that in the block, and I was raised with Nico the Dragon, who is one of two-time international UFC champion. So he taught me a lot. But anyway, back to the characterization. He just analyzed me, and he said, you know, you remind me of my ex-wife. And I said, who's that? And he goes, Jane Mansfield. And I'm like, what? Jane Mansfield? That's like Marilyn Monroe. Isn't she short? You know, because I'm 5'10". And he goes, no, you know, Jane Mansfield was tall. Was much taller than Marilyn Monroe. So he gave me Sunny. I guess there's a little bit of that in the blonde, fun, and sun girl of California, because I'm, you know, a native of California. I was born in East LA. So I'm every bit of that character. That's how it happened.
There's something that I really enjoyed when I did my research about it is how you guys literally had to live the role of your characters. Did you find that difficult, or did it come pretty natural to you?
For me, it was natural. I mean, except for the knock-knock jokes. Having to sing a knock-knock joke to my opponent, to piss off my opponent, for them to come after me was quite different and difficult on the mic. I'm like, oh my God, how do I sing a knock-knock joke? Because I love to sing, so they kind of incorporated that into my character.
So you were on the first season. You know, how did things change throughout, you know, the first season till the second season? Did things kind of, you know, kick into gear? What were things like, really, you know, on that first season? Was it surreal? What was kind of the vibe going on there?
Actually, for G.L.O.W, I was the third and fourth season.
Okay.
The first and second season was the California Doll, which, of course, different characters completely. So I was actually the first Sunny, because we all know Sunny from WWE. So I kind of was the first Sunny. That's how they molded my character. But I was in the third and fourth season. So it changed drastically because the first and second season girls didn't go on tour. We actually flew into Atlanta, Georgia, and we actually went to the Mid-South and the Midwest states and toured in the, arenas. And that was pretty cool. So that was different because they didn't get to do that, but we did. And, of course, our characters were segregated, and we had to stay in character, and we had to hate the bad girl. The bad had to hate us good girls, of course, you know, and now it's called heel and baby face, but back then it was bad and good. So we separated when we jumped off that tour bus and immediately went into character and kept it, you know, all the way through,
you know,
even in our hotel room.
you know, in that era too, after the first and second season, it seemed like it really blew up. My co-host said that he was a huge fan when he was a kid, and you know, he's about, I think he's like 38, 39 years old, and my uncle was a huge fan of Glow. Did you know about Glow, you know, in the first and second season? Were you aware of the show?
Yes, absolutely. And that's how I became a Glow girl. But I was raised in the Olympic Auditorium. My father was a big wrestling fan and friend of Classy Freddie Blassie,
Wow.
the Destroyer, all the old-time wrestlers. So they would come over to our house for dinner. And I was in diapers wearing the Destroyer's mask, if that tells you.
That is
So,
perfect.
so I was at the front row at the Olympic Auditorium. And then one day, my father, I was like a swimwear model, but an athlete. I grew up being an athlete. I competed against the guys in track running, in the 500 yard, the relay, you know, all the relay runs and everything, because I beat the girls, so they put me with the guys, and I was kicking butt. So I won many medals in that. So Glow was like, okay, I got this. But it's a lot different, by the way, doing flips in midair and, you know, flying off the third turnbuckle, you know, being 5'10", it's a little different, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I was watching.
But my dad was watching Glow. That's how I got into it. So he called me out of my room real quick, and he goes, they're auditioning. He goes, you should try out for this. And I look at him, I'm like, are you kidding? You're kidding, right? And I was sitting there watching these girls, and they were like destroying each other. And there was all these different sizes and shapes of girls too, which I thought was really cool. It wasn't the cookie cutter. There was like one huge girl, and that was, I think, Mount Fiji I saw, then Matilda the Hun. I was like, no way, I can't do this. They're going to kill me. You know, so sure enough, I sent in my headshot stuff to North Hollywood, and I went over there for the auditions, and there was like 300 girls. And,
Wow.
you know, I was one of the chosen one, and then we went up to Vegas, and we went through this 6-week military training. And you're not in yet. You've got to pass the training. If you couldn't do a military push-up, then you're definitely not in. Because we had to do 100 militaries.
Bring us through day one. What was the first week of that like?
Oh, my God, it was so intense. It was so intense. And here I am thin, so I had to eat a lot of protein at the Riviera Hotel. We got free buffet. So it was buffet morning, noon, and night. And Matt would stand over me, the director, to make sure I was eating my pasta and stuff. He's like, eat. You got to get thicker. We want you at 140. You know, and I'm like, oh, my God. And then lifting weights. You know, it was an intense workout. I had to go to Eiferman's gym and start lifting heavy weights. And then we would do hyperextensions off our ring. A girl would sit on, you know, one of the girls, we were girl, and they would sit on our feet. There's one girl, then over, and the next one, you know, ready to do hyperextensions. So, like, keep doing them until we say stop. And then we had to run the tubes, the tire tubes. And then we had to go around the track inside the warehouse with our arms above our head till they say to Lorem. We had to put them right by our ears. We couldn't drop them until we did, I don't know how many laps. Oh, my God. It was like, are you kidding me? It was horrible. So it was like, you know, a military training. We were taught how to punch. The punching bag was there. We all lined up. We took our shots at the punching bag until we got it right. We did our tumbles, our rolls, our back flips, our forward, you know, flips and front bumps, back bumps, all that kind of stuff in the ring. And then from there, that's how they pick your character. If you make it, if you made that. You know, they do the cut. There were so many girls. I think we had 75 to start with, and the ending was 36. That was up there. So,
you know, with the Netflix series coming out, you know, is it kind of similar? Do you see similarities in the Netflix series?
I mean, the second season, I'm really anxious to see. The first season of Netflix, there wasn't much wrestling. You know, and the comparison of us Glow Girls, it's great that they're doing this in honor of us, but it is so different. It's not what it was then, obviously. There was no drugs, and our director certainly didn't do drugs.
There's no robot walking around with a full of drugs.
No, I wish there was. That would have been kind of cool. Like, hey, you know.
Oh, man.
But no, there wasn't. There was none of that. But the only thing that's similar is the closeness of the girls, the bonding that you see there, and then the characterization of how it came together. And then the 80s uniforms and the 80s boots, you know, the wrestling boots and stuff like that, and the characters. But the rest of it, no way. It's never happened. The second season with Chavo, there's going to be some serious wrestling. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be similar there,
So
But I wish them the best of luck because we're just getting better and bigger. Now we've got the afterglow. So
yes, and we're definitely going to talk about that. Roxy even messaged me before our interview to make sure that we definitely did speak about that, and that's something that we're definitely going to get into. But really quick, you were talking about Mount Fiji. What kind of relationship did you have with her, if any?
I did. I was really close with her because in the lineup she was big. She was 6, I think, 2 or whatever. And in the lineup, I was standing right next to her. It was always her and I. I never wrestled her because she was a good girl, so she was on my side.
Yeah,
but
she was.
We were really, really, really close. Yeah, she was awesome. Her and Big Bad Mama equally. Big Bad Mama was the house mama.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I didn't really, unfortunately, I didn't get to socialize with a lot of the girls back then because I dated the director. So yeah, so I was like the girl like everyone hated and stay away from.
Of course.
Yeah, and I got pushed the most by the director. He was so mean.
So when the girls hit you, they gave you a little extra push, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So listen, Mount Fiji, unfortunately, when we spoke with ROXY Astors, Mount Fiji was still alive, unfortunately, to everybody's news that hasn't heard yet that's tuning in right now. Mount Fiji passed away about a couple of months ago now, correct?
Yes, she did, and that was really sad. And Roxy and I picked up Roxy and our little dog Pixie, and we went down to visit Mount Fiji. And I'm so thankful that we got some time with her. Actually, a couple times we went down there to visit her. I was trying to give her hope because we all got honored at the CAC, the Cauliflower Alley Convention. That's our wrestling reunion. And each year that happens, by the way, I would like to give a plug for that because that's a great organization. It's a benevolent organization. So if we get injured, there's an illness, someone passes away, that money that goes to the CAC, and it's a small amount. I think it's like $28 for the membership for a year, and your banquet ticket is like $130. And you go every year for 3 days in Las Vegas, and you just have a blast. 3 days of hanging out with your favorite wrestlers as fans as well. But if you're a wrestling fanatic, you're going to love it. But as a wrestler ourselves, you get to hang out with other, people in the business. You get to meet new wrestlers and old wrestlers and, have a bunch of fun. And there's banquets, there's honors, there's an honors night, so they honor some of the great wrestlers in the business.
Who's there? Who usually shows up for that?
I don't know what next year, but we'll find out soon. But there's always big names, and there's newcomers. We have one now. Last year was Brickhouse Brown. He got the Courage Award. Amazing. He's battling cancer, brain cancer.
Oh man.
So yeah, there was no dry eye in that room, and there was usually I think 400. The CAC it's packed, sometimes 500 people in the business. From referees to you name it, all the way down. It's a blast though, and it's at the Gold Coast Hotel, and you can go to caulifloweralleyclub.org and sign up.
So with season 2, I had a couple of people message me asking me, with season 2, are you guys going to be doing viewing parties? Are you going to be live tweeting during the premiere?
Yeah, we're going to be doing all that. We're having an Afterglow live party June 29th at ROXY Astors house in the Valley. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of special guests going. I think there's like 7 or 8 Glow girls that'll be there, including myself, because Roxy's my BFF, so we're always together. But it's so much fun. There's going to be so many surprises, and so we're going to review the first episode of season 2 and critique it, of course, as Glow Girls. We're going to either tear it down, like it, hate it, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever.
And you guys give your honest opinion too.
Thumbs up,
You guys always give your honest opinion too. Like Roxy definitely keeps it real about it all, and it seems like there's been a lot of confusion along the way. With all the added attention between first the documentary and then the series, how much more attention has it really brought upon you? Is it really magical, and does it have some stressors as well?
Here's the thing. It brought us back, but we were back because I'm on social media. I've been on there, for 10 years, and I've been working it as Sunny once they found out I was Sunny because, let's face it, it was 30 years ago, or 32 if you want to count the first and second season. That's a long time. We've all moved on, married, careers, did other things, and I did a lot of things besides Glow. So I'm on there, and they're like, oh, wow, you did Playboy. Oh, wow, tell us about Kiss. Tell us about that. So there's so many things that, and then I'm like, okay. And then they find out I'm Sunny as well from Glow. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I used to watch it. So what Netflix, here's the thing with Netflix. It's getting a younger crowd. It's capturing younger people and realizing they're like, well, where's the original Glow Girls?
It's a cult classic. It's like a cult thing now. Like literally, exactly. It's amongst like the horror films. Like it's amongst the glam people. It's amongst the LGBT community. Like people are all about retro anything, especially 80s, and to have this resurrected, it's definitely magical. But what are some of the stressors that come along with this?
I would say the stressors is like, you'll see Drop the Mic, for instance, okay? We should be there, but no, it's the Glow Netflix. And a lot of people are like, oh, the Glow Girls. We're like, no, wait a minute. Those are actresses. Those aren't the Glow. We're the Glow Girls. We're the original Glow Girls. We're right here. So we're not getting those things that they're doing. And naturally they're making a pretty penny, second episode. Come on.
It was kind of upsetting.
Like, wait a minute, we're not getting any of this, but here we are. But the good thing is, and I know we're getting to that, and that's the afterglow, and we're going to be rocking that.
Let's get into that. But one thing I wanted to say, it was kind of sad not seeing any of the Glow Girls on season 1. That's one thing that was like, that would make it so much better. It really would. That would add the nostalgic. It would just complete everything.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
It really would. But you guys are doing the Afterglow cruises. This has been going on for a few years now. So what is this? What can people expect if they buy a ticket?
Well, the Afterglow cruises, we've had 3 so far. But now I want to say that's it for a little bit. We're taking a hiatus on the cruises. So it's pretty cool, though. A lot of fun. The fans loved it. It's up close and personal. So you get to hang out with us Glow Girls for 7 days on a cruise.
It's a long time.
Go. Yeah, and it's fun. Like, they get to see Sunny without her coffee in the morning. It's not
God.
I gotta have my coffee in the morning. I'm like, Sunny's cloudy. You know what I mean?
You can never get bored with the California girl, but you can catch her on her off mornings.
Yeah. That surfboard's coming out and it's going over your head. It's sorry. But not sorry. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but we do have an Afterglow musical that's hitting soon, and it will be, I think, at the end of September in West Hollywood, California. There's going to be 5 of us Glow Girls, and the other characters that are playing our younger version are drag queens.
Yes, I love it.
Really cool. Yeah, it's Afterglow musical. And then we have Afterglow series, just like Netflix, with the actresses that's playing the Glow Girls. We're having our actual show with us original Glow Girls.
Explain that. All of us. What do you mean? Explain that. What can people expect with that when they check it out?
It's gonna be a series. Like, you'll see us, we'll be in it as us Glow Girls, and it's gonna be really cool. They're writing the script now, and hopefully, you know how it goes in showbiz. We want to cross our fingers and pray that it gets picked up, and we're out there, and you get to see us, in the nearest future.
That's genius. Who thought of this idea? That's genius for you guys, because here you are, kind of wanting some of the, like, we are the Glow Girls, like you guys keep saying. Roxy's been saying, I've been seeing you guys tweet it. This is perfect. Yeah. This is what the fans actually want, is the real Glow Girls.
We are the original Glow Girls. Yeah. So Roxy Astor has the trademark Afterglow.
Fuck yes.
And this is her baby, her pride and joy. And she's got some great writers that are doing the script along with herself and Eileen MTV and myself, with their Afterglow. The first Afterglow stage play was started in 2014, by the way, in October, I think it was, where we're all on stage and we have a hot seat. We get fans up there in the hot seat and they get to ask us questions. And the first one was at the Acme Theater in Hollywood. So it was pretty cool. So from there, we went on our Afterglow cruises. That was the birth of that at a Comic-Con. Yeah, it's crazy how it spins off. And now here we are, and we're bigger and bigger. And that Glow Netflix is actually bringing us bigger. So we have no complaints with them. Like I said, we got to meet them all. Roxy, myself, Daisy, and a couple of the other Glow Girls, Matilda the Hun. We met them at WWE. they were like going, oh my God, they were fanning out. They're like, it's the Robo girls. And we're like, oh, it's the Netflix girls. So we kind of had this, this, whole little like love connection.
That's awesome.
in backstage. And it was pretty cool at the WWE. And we got to meet them and they got to meet us. And that was cool. So, but now you'll see them like in our stuff here and there, but it's a conflict. I think that's why they can't really be too close to us. And we're not, we're just watching them. They know we're watching them.
So a part of, having you guys on the show individually is to kind of catch, what happened after Glow. I kind of want to see, like, individually what really went down with you guys after, that series was finally over. You seemed like you had some success with, you were just talking about you were in the Playboy model for the Kiss month?
Yeah, the Kiss issue.
The Kiss issue.
Yeah. Kiss
what was that like?
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was pretty awesome. So, and I did that many years in 1999. So Glow was over in 1990, and then we went on to pay-per-view. But after that, I did a lot of modeling and acting and Playboy and a lot of speeches. I also went through a big stalking case that hit the TV airwaves. Yeah, he was 10 America's Most Wanted. That was my own manager.
Get into that a little bit, if you don't mind. I'm sure you're catching everyone's ears.
Yeah, well, after Glow went off the air, I returned to Vegas. And Vegas is it's still the mob days and pretty crazy days. I was an NFL poster girl, and that's how I met the guy. I went to audition with this man, and I got the job. And a poster girl is not a cheerleader, for everybody who's listening. It's the poster girl. You go to the live radio remotes and all the football games, and you sign your posters. Like I did the tight end. And back then it was pretty hot. That's when they had the warehouses and Music Plus stores. So I sold many of posters. That's my tight end. So, yeah, and I represented, Rams, Raiders, yes, and they're still my favorites. And the New England Patriots. They rock. And the Miami Dolphins. So I had 4 good teams, and I still stand by them, forever faithful to those teams, besides my LA Kings. Los Angeles Kings better kick butt, by the way. I can just say that because I am such a sports girl. But, and of course, my MMA and UFC. I am so there. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much... That's it. The story is very long. It's going to be out in a book and a movie.
Ooh,
so I don't want to get too much into it because I do want to save it for everyone when it happens. I have a writer right now that's doing my story. And, John Walsh from America's Most Wanted actually came to interview me after I gave birth to my daughter. She was like 3 months old. Him and his camera crew came knocking on my door. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
If there's one thing...
was amazing.
If there's one thing that you could share, and I will make this a separate clip for itself for anyone that, types this up online, what kind of advice would you give to anybody that's going through a situation where they're being stalked by somebody, whether it's a jealous ex-boyfriend or whatever the case may be? What's some advice that you can give to them that, since you've been through that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. The advice is, most importantly, is don't lose your faith. I mean, my fight was there because I had my daughter and I didn't want to die. But you can't hold it in. You've got to report it. You must report it. And that's why I don't get all this Me Too stuff 20 or 30 years later, which some of the stuff I totally am like just shaking my head. I'm like, what? How can this be? How could a woman who's been invaded from serious attack, some are more brutal than others, some is this, it's still an attack. How could they hold on to it for 20 or 30 years, I just find it very weird because, you must report it. You have to stay strong and don't let fear get involved, and go to the authorities. The FBI helped me immensely, and I went into victim protection. I went under the program and had to stay in hiding for years. And they told me what to do, what to watch for, how to protect myself. I recommend going to classes, go to some UFC, some kickboxing, some boxing classes, learning how to protect yourself. Self-defense classes is number 1. It's very, very important. And also, like I said, you have to remember it's not your fault. Most importantly, don't think that you're the blame.
So with this book, where can people find this book? When is it being released?
That I don't know yet. That's still in the works. So, hopefully soon, within 3 months. I do have a comic book coming out.
That's
the
badass.
end of this year, about a little bit about my life and my brother, who I really loved. I lost my brother to suicide. And so he's going to be in this comic book. It sounds kind of weird, but they're making this comic book around me, like being the hero, because I used to beat up a lot of people who teased my brother. My brother had a hip displacement, so his foot would go out instead of straight like most people. So in school, my brother got teased a lot, and they'd call him names and retarded, just bullied, and I would take him on. I was like the tough little sister. He was 6 years older than I was, and I lost him in 1985, by the way. But so you'll catch that comic book, and I'd love to go on the show again, and I'll give you the updates for everything, and we can get more into it.
With people who have been through situations like that, I think, everyone has their story, and it's just amazing when you hear the people who have been able to come through the darkness, the people who have gone through the trenches and out the other side, and is able to share that story to give strength to other people who are going through it. Because, I think one thing that bothers a lot of people, it bothered me when I was little, it still bothers me when I'm going through similar situations. It's like you feel so alone. You don't realize, like, so many people are going through similar situations. And I think with social media, it opens up a huge platform for people to reach out. I think artists now are realizing that, we need to reach out our voices. And with all the celebrity suicides and stuff like that, it's just awful. It's awful.
Oh, yeah. It's really sad. It's sad because they do feel so alone. And inside, it's inside their soul. And a lot of times you can't. No matter what you do, you can't help. It's got to be them. But I think with all the support and their family support, families need to be, again, it goes back to being loving and caring, to notice the signs of depression, notice the signs of just anxiety or anxiousness with a lot of these kids, and also celebrities as well, because they become recluse. I mean, I'm pretty stable, but I live far away from everything too. I live in a remote area, but I'm fine with myself. Not everybody is, and I think they need to know that there's an alternative. There's a happy side to this if you reach out to them and let them know that you care. If people on social media all join together and my motto is lend a smile, lend a hug. Sunny smiles keeps the doctor away, definitely. You've got to share the love, because there's so much hate in this world. It's not a good thing. And stop bullying out there. Definitely no bullying. I can't stand bullies. Can't stand it.
And you know what? This is why we are in love with the sport. This is why people are in love with wrestling. This is why people are in love with G.L.O.W. Is because we all got our situations going on in life, whether it's our boss yelling at us or, our dog shitting all over the floor, whatever it is. We like to escape a little bit, and, platforms like this allow us to get away. And that's what life's all about. It's being able to feel free and be able to express yourself. And I think G.L.O.W does that for a lot of people. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your story on today's podcast. It really means a lot. And I'm looking forward to get some more G.L.O.W girls on. Before we let you go, there's one more thing I want to ask you. Did you watch the documentary on Netflix? And did it kind of strike a chord in you as well, where it kind of hit home?
Well, yeah, I watched the documentary, and everybody asked me, because the documentary is us G.L.O.W girls, why I'm not in it. And the reason being why I'm not in that documentary is because my daughter had a tragic accident, car accident, and she ended up, I get the phone call, I'm on my way out with my surfboard. I didn't see the G.L.O.W girls in 28 years. I was so excited. And I remember the days, January 10th, 2010, January 29th, 2010. That was the day the documentary was filmed with Mount Fiji and everybody, the same one that everybody gets to watch. And I hear it all the time because they ask me, Sonny, you weren't in it. I said, because I was at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. My daughter was in the trauma unit, not expected to live, and she was not even barely 18. So it was a pretty bad accident, and that's why I wasn't in the documentary. And yes, I like it. I think it should have featured a lot more girls. There should have been more personal interviews with each and every girl, it could have been more in depth. Yeah, it was okay. Thumbs up to the two guys, the two producers that filmed that documentary, that were behind that documentary. And did a great job. And
with that documentary, it opened up a lot of eyes. Like, it opened up my eyes to want to reach out. And with the series and everything, it's really bloomed a huge thing. Bloom is a word I use all the time. And it seems like I invite people on who are going through transitions. And it seems like right now, G.L.O.W has been reborn. And I'm enjoying every second of watching what is going on. And I think what you guys are doing with the webcast or the web series that you're going to be doing, that's going to be interested for the actual diehards that want to see that. That's what the fans really want to see, is the real girls. So we are looking forward to that. Make sure you keep us updated with that. I will share your social media links down below. Last but not least, is there anything else you would like to get out on the table before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to say we've got, July 12th. We also have Fulvio Cesare, who's a wonderful director of 350 Days, the movie, wrestling movie. Come out to the red carpet in Hollywood at the Chinese Man's Theater. Get your ticket now. We will be there in the red carpet. There's going to be many of your greatest, latest, and old school pro wrestlers. And it's going to be awesome. So come out to that event and see 350 Days of the movie as well. And you can catch me on social media under Patricia Summerland or Sunny Glow. The best thing, because I'm on also, many different platforms, is just Google me and you'll find my platforms that way.
Google me, bitch.
And, yeah, that's right. Just Google me.
You know what? Google actually says when you Google your name, over 1 million results pop up.
Wow,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you know what? Awesome. Last but not least, when is this musical coming and where can people catch that?
That's going to be hopefully the end of September. Christopher G. Garver is the director. And it's Afterglow musical. Thank you, ROXY Astors. Yes. She's also the brilliance behind my wonderful blonde BFF. Since I'm brunette now, I can call her the dingy blonde, but she's not. And so, yeah, it's going to be cool. And then look also for even Amazon, Hulu, or Netflix for Afterglow series. So we look forward to that. And I can't say when, but it will be soon. And you'll see all of us G.L.O.W girls back on TV.
Well, guys, from Newport Beach, California, the sun and the fun girl, Patricia Summerland, thank you so much for joining me here today on Pure Evil MMA. It's been a blast.
You're awesome. This is Sunny, the California girl, and you're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
Thank you so much, Sunny. I appreciate it so much. Have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you, Eddie.
There you go, guys. You G.L.O.W diehards. Subscribe down below. If you like this interview, give me a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have anything that you would like to see. One of the G.L.O.W girls come on next. What G.L.O.W girl should I have come on next? This has been awesome. I am really trying to get on as many G.L.O.W girls as I can. Thank you guys so much. Harvey Weinstein checking in. Harvey, matter of fact, I saw you on Luke Thomas's show, squeaking in there somehow, and you actually had some pretty good questions, man. So make sure to tune in to the podcast this week where I'm going to be reviewing all the news. I would love for you guys to check in there in the live chat. But for the guys listening to the podcast right now, up next we got Elias Theodorou checking in, who calls out Lyoto Machida. Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. Happy Father's Day, and I have a very special guest for everybody. For all the lonely moms out there, we got Elias Theodorou joining us here today. What's going on, Elias?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
So you're coming off this fresh win, man, but before we talk about any of that, how have you been since, that fight let out?
Doing good. Basically, back to the gym after my fight. Pushing on. Still doing me and a lot of fun things inside the cage now.
So in case anybody didn't catch your last fight, you were on that UFC Liverpool card, which was actually a very controversial card. I really want to talk about that really quick before we talk about your fight. What were you thinking when Darren Till came in a little overweight?
Real unfortunate. Just because, especially because, it was his hometown. They were building it up, and the fact that, this is an opportunity for him. He's facing the number one contender, I believe, or the second in spot, which is obviously Wonder Boy. And, the position that Wonder Boy had to put himself, or was in, because of that. He took the fight luckily, but there was a lot of unknowns for a couple of hours. So it was a real weird atmosphere to see everyone weighed in, and except for the actual two locals. The only two people that didn't make weight were the locals.
Yeah, Meatball Molly. Yeah, Molly missed weight, and leading up this year, I mean, the stats have been the fighters who have missed weight have mostly been winning, and now they're trying to get rid of, or they are getting rid of, the early weigh-ins. How do you feel about that?
I'm very disappointed on that. I think it's rewarding those that didn't make weight. I think it's punishing the people that did what they were supposed to do. I'm in favor completely for more recovery time. And, Dana White has been jumping on, whether it's interviews or whatever on different type of media sources saying that, fighters aren't warning people. I disagree. I think we're professionals. And those that aren't making weight aren't the professionals. And rewarding them and punishing those that actually did their job isn't the issue, or isn't the answer. I think, if anything, we should do some more stiff penalties for those that don't make weight, whether it's, making it no contest, or instead of, 20%, it becomes 20% of your show, and then 20% of your win, maybe even both. You know what I mean? Like, Terrence Hill would be the first to tell you that he doesn't really think that he, deserves a number one contender component, partly because, the performance maybe wasn't as great as it could have been, but also because he didn't make weight, and he was, 4 or 5 pounds away. So, and that's with the 2 hours that was actually allotted to him. So, and then you can kind of fast track to a different card where you have someone like Yoel Romero, who his coaches and management have admitted that they essentially were trying to game the system, and it blew up in their face. Where, they knew that Chicago had 2 hours allotted for those that didn't make it in the time frame, so they purposely made it so that they could do it at the end. So, by their own admission, that they cheated, essentially, and it blew up in their face. And to reward cheaters and those that are unprofessional is the wrong move, and it'd be sending the UFC back.
It's been 2 years now since they started the early weigh-ins, and I seen you tweeting out, you're like, I'm a morning person, and I like that extra time to recover. What difference is it going to make now that it's gone? It's not like people are going to be making weight more. I mean, what good is it going to really do?
Yeah, it just, what it ends up doing is, like I said, it sends the wrong message in regards to rewarding those that didn't make weight.
Yeah.
It takes away time from us to recover, which should be the most important thing, and that's why it was done in the first place. I understand in some ways, we're a product, and the product hasn't been making the weight in a little bit higher numbers, but at the same time, I just think there should be stiffer penalties, like I mentioned. I don't think we should go back. I think it is the right decision. It's just some people are trying to game the system. An example, Yoel Romero.
And you know what? There's been a lot of MMA fans that have been freaking out, as usual. I mean, we just had CM Punk go in there again. I know there was a lot of controversy there. Well, it's over and done with now. What did you think of CM Punk's performance and the reaction that the fans are giving Mike the True Jackson?
Well, he did better than the first go. He made the whole round, right?
Yeah.
Or made the whole fight. So, all the power to him in the sense that, there's an opportunity, and even after a devastating and embarrassing defeat, he stuck to it and did it again. Obviously, he's 0-2, so that's not a good look in regards to, the top echelons in regards to what the UFC represents. You know what I mean? It's the biggest stage for a reason. So it does lend to the idea that it is sports entertainment, and it does take away a little bit to the, martial arts or sport component to it. But at the same time, it is what it is, and it kind of showed that, you can kind of do it once, and it loses its shine, where you have the first Stipe versus the first fight that what's his name, CM Punk was on was Stipe versus Overeem, and then I believe did 850,000 pay-per-view buys, whereas whereas this one did 150. So, you know, it's unfortunate they didn't have Alistair Overeem on that card, you know, to be on the main event instead of, let's say, CM Punk. Oh, wait, they could have done that.
And you know what? That was an amazing card, too. It was absolutely stacked. Even the fights, they played out perfectly. There was a lot of action on there. So I was a little surprised when those numbers came out as well. 150K pay-per-view buys, which is really low for a pay-per-view that of this manner. But do you think it had to do with the main event, you know, this being the rematch and people not wanting to get into it? Why would the numbers be this low? And can you trust the numbers that we got?
Well, you can't really trust them until they're, you know, they're official. And it's been, you know, put out there, but it's not a good look either way. And partly, like you said, it's a repeat, whether it's CM Punk or whether it's the title. And if you throw in the fact that it wasn't really a title at the end of it, people could have gotten put off on it because, you know, Joel Romero didn't make weight, wasn't professional.
Elias, before we let you go, I have two more questions for you. One being, there's been a lot of rumors of Conor McGregor going up against Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 229. What are your thoughts on that? Is that the right direction for Conor to go?
You know, it's a fight that I think a lot of people want to see. Obviously, there's opportunity with whether it's Conor McGregor and George St. Pierre, but I think if we're going to put some normally back into the 155, Champ needs to, you know, get back in there. And this will be like the first time that Khabib actually fights someone, you know, beyond a top, you know, a top 5 competitor. So it'd be very interesting. Obviously, Khabib is undefeated for a reason. He's great at what he does, but you know, he showed some vulnerabilities in his last fight, and I think that's why you see Conor and his team a little bit more eager to do it.
And it's such a shame that the Tony Ferguson fight wasn't able to go through, but that would be a fun direction to head in. Now, Elias, you're coming off fresh off of this win, man. So what's the direction you're headed in now that you've had some time to digest? What are you and your team planning on doing here before the end of the year?
Yeah, no, hopefully fighting again soon. One of the people that I put out there was Machida. I believe he's number 9. I'm number 14. And everyone else is pretty much booked. To put it out there. So, you know, if he wants to fight sometime soon, I'd love to take on the Dragon, and you know, it'd be a true honor. And I'd love to put on you know, one hell of a show like I did the last fight, and this time against a former champion. Other than that, in regards to who's on my radar, it would really have to depend on who's, you know, who comes off of every single win. Because, like I mentioned, a lot of the people in 150 or 185 on the top 15 are kind of booked. Other people would be the 15th spot who's just below me, someone like Christoph Jock, or even someone that's not ranked, Jack Hermanson. Like, he may not be ranked, but he came off of a hell of a win over a legend in Talis Latis. So, you know, obviously I want to go up, but I definitely want to fight sooner rather than later.
What is it about Lyoto that catches your eye? I mean, the Dragon versus the Spartan. I mean, there it is right there. Well, what about him makes you want that fight?
That's exactly it. He's obviously, you know, a legend, still doing it. You know, he presents great challenges still at this point, as everyone can see in his last fight. He's 2 out of his last 3, and that's coming after, you know, a long layoff, I think for 2 years, give or take. So, you know, it'd be an honor. You train long enough, you fight long enough, and your idols become your competition. So, you know, it'd be a great opportunity to fight such a living legend, and it would be an honor, like I mentioned.
You just got that to settle on my head now. That sounds like a very appetizing fight to watch, especially for the MMA community out there. That would be an amazing, even a headliner event right there. That would be perfect for you, Elias.
Yeah. No, I would love to finally go 5 rounds. It'd be it would be a great opportunity, obviously, to fight Lyoto, like I mentioned, but it would be really cool, you know, to put myself in that main event status, because, you know, technically I am the main event, MANE, no matter if I'm on the top of the card or the bottom card. But it would be good to go 5 rounds and, you know, structure my camp around that.
I think the time is due for that as well, Elias. I think we got to hear what the MMA fans have to say, but I really think that sounds like the perfect plan for you. I think it's time for a big name fight like that. I mean, the Dan Kelly win, that was awesome. You're on a 2-fight win streak now. Lyoto on a 2-fight win streak coming off that hot highlight. We are looking forward to whatever comes next for you, Elias. I want to thank you so much for joining me once again on Pure Evil MMA. We're going to let you go, but before we do that, is there any shout-outs, any sponsors, anything at all they'd like to get out on the table?
Yeah, no, well, obviously, thank you as always for your time, and, always a pleasure catching up. I don't have a fight yet, but I do have my next Ring Boy event, which will be at BTC in Burlington, and then it'll be next Saturday, the 23rd, but then I'm also back for Invicta 30th, Invicta 30, July 21st, which I'm really excited to as well. I'm at the main event, but also Ring Boy, trademark is ready to dominate inside the cage and out.
It was a big hit, man, so I'm glad that it's going on. It's going to blossom, and I'm looking forward to it, man. You're doing all the right things. Have a great day. Happy Father's Day, Elias, and God bless.
God bless back, man.
There you guys go. Elias Theodorou, the Spartan. How about that? The Spartan versus the Dragon. Now, I didn't even see that. I mean, that literally just settled on my head. That sounds so perfect. It's not even funny. I mean, what other, like Elias said, everyone else is booked. Hermanson, that's an option, but if I'm Elias's manager, I think it's time. I think the level that he's traveled on, the perfect way to climb the rankings, Lyoto next, man. That would be perfect for Elias. Let us know what you think about that. You can tweet Elias at Elias Theodorou on Twitter, or tweet me at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Also on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA, guys. Our next guest today is going to be on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series for Week 7, July 31st. A very familiar face here on Pure Evil MMA. More like family. We got Shawn T joining us here today.
Yep.
Hey, what's going on, Shawn? So, yeah, what did you think of Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series Week 1? Like I said, I don't think it could have gone any better.
Yeah, it went pretty smooth. Fastest knockout. The guy beat Carl's fastest knockout, which I was impressed about. But yeah, it was a good show.
And you know what? He was, who was it that had the quickest knockout from last season? Zoo?
Carl.
He was tweeting before Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. He was like, at least I got the quickest knockout. And then, bam, it ends right there. So it's just crazy how perfect this card went with Hardy going on the card, getting the knockout the way he did. What did you think about his performance?
I still think he is real green. He doesn't do anything besides just swing. So, I think somebody that's actually more technical than the guy he fought would expose a lot of stuff. But, they put him on that, up-and-comer kind of contract, so that's good for him.
And, what was it? Chris Curtis. Unfortunately, not really unfortunate, but he got the knockout with a crazy spin kick, or it was some kind of crazy kick. And then, unfortunately, Dana White did not give him the contract, but I really feel if he was on week 2, week 3, and had that same performance, he would probably get a contract. Unfortunately, he retired directly after the fight. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't hear about that. Is that the kid that went to the hospital?
Yeah, I believe Chris Curtis was the one who had the only kick knockout on the card.
Yeah, like the hook kick.
Yeah, exactly. And he was so upset that he didn't get the contract. He talked about retiring before going in. I mean, how do you deal with a loss, man, when you have all the eyes on you like that? I mean, how do you deal with something like that?
Yeah, it's something that everybody has to overcome their own way. Everybody treats losses and wins differently. But you don't know what it's like until you experience that, especially on a big stage. It's definitely eye-opener sometimes.
And when you got Dana White standing there, and especially once you get a crazy knockout like that, it's got to be crushing when you see somebody like Hardy, who has a lot of controversial past, get the call. Do you think that was the right call on Dana White to take Hardy in? I thought that it was a gimme. I mean, there was no way they weren't going to give him some sort of contract.
Yeah, I definitely think it was one of those things that along the route of a CM Punk thing is, he's a known NFL guy. He went on there you know, in my opinion, he didn't really deserve the shot because he was a pro debuter, and you know, he took that shot from somebody that, you know, really earned it. But you know, hey, at the end of the day, it's a money business, so you can't blame him for that.
And you know what? You're about my age, and we've been watching, you know, The Ultimate Fighter for years now. And we're coming on to the last season, and it kind of feels right. The way that this week started with Dana White choosing the Contender Series, the way that last season ended, I really feel like it's the perfect transition now, because you're going to get a lot of people interested in more of the local scenes to go out and go see some of the local fighters that they've seen on, you know, the Contender Series. And now with the ESPN deal, I think that's huge. You know, what does this mean for you? You know, to be on week 7 of Dana White choosing the Contender Series. How do you feel right now getting ready for this?
I feel great, man. You know, I know about the fight for a really, really long time now. It just wasn't allowed to say anything, but I feel, you know, fantastic. You know, I switched up, you know, some training and stuff this camp. This is probably the best I've ever felt this far out, and I'm only getting better. You know, I hired Brian Wright out of Killer B, you know, Carl Roberson's head Muay Thai coach, kickboxing, and stuff has changed dramatically in practice. You know, sparring and stuff is just pretty good.
Have you been practicing the T-choke? The T-lock, the T-choke?
The T-lock. I mean, that's always there. You know, I'm not going to try to end up on my back this fight at all. I want, you know, pure domination this fight, and anything less than that is, you know, going to be a letdown to myself. Well,
right now you're on a 2-fight win streak. You're 5-1. What do you know about your opponent?
He's 3-0. From Texas, I think, something like that. He fought all older guys and guys that were littler than him, so he was able to, like, physically manhandle the guys, you know, get full mount. He's a wrestler, and the guys had no kind of offense or defense off of their backs. They kind of just laid there and, you know, took a beating. And I think that kind of game plan doesn't really work with my style of jiu-jitsu and fighting and stuff like that. So, you know, I think it's a good matchup. Big guy, you know, it'd be good to go out there and put it to him.
How did this come about? I mean, there's so many fighters out there that are dying to get on this season. You got one of the golden tickets. How did this happen?
Well, I'm managed by Sucker Punch, and Brian Wright, Brian Butler over there. They do a fantastic job getting, you know, their athletes the shots that they know that they deserve. So, you know, shout out to those guys. You know, calling me all the time, you know, making sure I'm all right, you know, making sure how I'm doing, you know, how camp's going. You know, these guys really put that, you know, a personal touch that is lost with a lot of people.
So what do you think about the commentary this season, having Michael Bisping a part of it? I think that adds even more fire to the flame.
Yeah, I think it's better than, you know, somebody that has, you know, like last season it was Snoop Dogg. It was kind of those things that, you know, now you actually have like a fight analysis going on as the fight's going on. You have somebody, you know, that was a champion in the UFC that, you know, has been on Fox Sports, you know, talking about the fights and stuff. So I think that you actually get a really good open look at things than, you know, all right, this guy's just laying on top of them, because you have no basis to base anything off of.
You know, I think a lot of people found the Snoopcast a little disrespectful. There were a lot of people that thought it was, you know, comical at times, but when the way that I looked at it, I thought it was very disrespectful. Some of the things that he was saying about these guys that are literally fighting for their dreams. It's got to be so hard. And another big thing about this, are you prepared for that gym? I mean, it's the Ultimate Fighter gym. It's pretty small. You're going to be around, you know, not a crowd, but it's more like a gym. It's literally like a gym. So it's a little weird. What do you feel about that?
No, I think I'll actually be fine in that kind of environment, because, you know, it'll basically be like sparring on Saturdays at Nicotones. You know, you have Eddie Alvarez, Frank Yeager, you know, multiple top 10 guys in the UFC, you know, guys that are ex-UFC champions, you know, almost becoming current UFC champions, you know, have training partners that are top 10 in the UFC and stuff, you know, so that whole starstruck mentality doesn't really affect me.
And you know what, man? You fought some UFC caliber fighters so far in your career. I mean, one of your last opponents is even in the UFC, and I can't pronounce his name. You're going to help me with it. Ananyu. Have you been following his career so far in the UFC?
Well, he had that one fight in the UFC, then he got in trouble by USADA, so he's suspended still. But, yeah, I think he'll be off suspension in like 6 months or something.
So what do you think it's going to take for you to get this contract on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series? Because week one, they made it pretty clear, you can be showboating, you can be doing whatever you want, and even if you get the knockout, it doesn't seal the deal. So what do you think it's going to take to really stand out?
Just going out there and getting a big finish. I've always looked for the finish. You have some of these guys that were, even on episode 1, that, you could tell could have pulled the trigger and could have finished people, but they wanted to, talk to them, try to do something, try to be really flashy. Yeah, that helps sell fights sometimes, but you're looking at people go out there and just be violent and, if you got the submission, rip an arm off, and that's my MO. I just want to go out there and I want to finish fights. There's no going to a decision with me.
So one thing I want to talk with you about, on this episode of Pure Evil MMA, we had Elias Theodorou on, and we were discussing weight cutting. There's been an awful lot of fighters out there that have been missing weight, and now they're going to be getting rid of the early weigh-ins for the UFC. What do you do about weight cutting issues? I mean, it's really a never-ending issue. We've been seeing it in boxing for years now. Something has to be done. What could be done? What punishment should be made? What's your take on missing weight?
I don't have much to say on that. I have a lot of teammates that cut weight and kill themselves to make that weight sometimes. And they all said they loved the early morning weigh-ins because they were able to just cut weight, make weight, and they had almost another day to rehydrate and stuff like that. But personally, I haven't had to cut weight. I'm a heavyweight. I walk around, at my fight weight. You could call me, I could fight, a few hours later if I really needed to. So I don't have much to say on that topic.
So also, not only are people missing weight, but also a big thing in the UFC that people are talking about this week is CM Punk going up against Michael the Truth Jackson. Did you catch that fight, and what was your take on it?
Yeah, I did. It was nothing beyond reason what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
As somebody that is, on that verge, had amateur fights, stuff like that, versus somebody that was 0-1. And, it takes, people understand it takes years and dedication to this sport. Not saying he wasn't dedicated, but you can't take somebody that should be fighting their second amateur fight and have them fight in the UFC. It's disrespectful to the sport. I understand that he's a huge draw, and if they, sign him again, he'd have another huge draw. It doesn't matter. But, he's not to that level yet. Let him go around, go fight, get some experience and stuff like that. Then if it comes time where he's able to make that jump again, let him make the jump. But, until he earns that spot, I don't think you should be handed things just because you were, popular in WWE.
Not unless, Brock Lesnar did it the right way. I know that he became champ within his first, 4 or 5 fights, but he didn't just jump into the UFC, and, he's a different kind of specimen as well. But, moving forward, Teed, let us know what day are you going to be flying out to Vegas, and, what are your plans, who you're bringing with you?
I go out at the end of the month for press and stuff like that. I'm going out with Carl Roberson for that. But for my actual fight, I have a bunch of people going with me. I have my mom, my dad, my girlfriend. I have Brian Wright, Carl Roberson, and Corey Anderson coming out with me. So I have a lot of people that have a lot of experience in that gym that I'll be fighting in.
We are looking forward to it. Week 7, also on Week 7, I believe, not Nick Newell. I think he's Week 6, but Week 7, Justin Sumner, who fights right under Nick Newell. He will also be on that season, on that week. I cannot wait. It's going down July 31st, guys. Obviously on a Tuesday night, so don't even ask what day that is. So thank you so much, Shawn, for joining me here on Pure Evil MMA. Is there anything else that you would like to get on the table? Sponsors, shout-outs, anything at all? The floor is all yours.
Yeah, just, thank you for having me on here again. I love talking to you. I want to give a big shout-out to E-Queen Bros, Sucker Punch Entertainment, every fans, friends, family that, have supported me from day one on this journey to, hopefully going in there and getting a UFC contract. Thank everybody. My Instagram is just @TeedMMA. Twitter is just @Teed. Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day and happy Father's Day.
Peace.
There you go, guys. We got Shawn Teed. We had Elias Theodorou on today, and also the CES 50 recap show. All down below here. Guys, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you like this interview. Subscribe down below. We do this all the time. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, MyMMAnews.com.